So, I have this awesome friend who runs a farm with lots of animals, including some quirky ostriches. It seemed like the perfect chance to experiment with a new dish, cooked ostrich. My friend went above and beyond, delivering a cleaned ostrich carcass. I just have to deal with the leftover feathers. Easy. Now, this ostrich had the royal treatment at the farm. Picture this, a spa day with a bit of heat and then a refreshing cold water. Oh, and while this is happening, my employee is harvesting some walnuts from the tree. I like this old copper jar. It's really very, very old. We've kept it already for more than 100 years in our family. Now, marinade time. Our Azerbaijani national cuisine swears by it. Salt, paprika, various peppers, sakuma, and, of course, lemons, to tenderize any meat or poultry. Marinate the spa continuation. It's all about making the bird soft and silky. Being a nature lover, I do my best to protect it. No harm to the environment here. I head to the river to pick up some logs instead of cutting down trees. Rain's brought in some nice ones. The river's flowing. The water's down a bit after the rain. Perfect time to grab some firewood. Careful on those wet stones. We don't want any slips. Catch acquired, rope in hand, axe at the ready. Feels like a fishing expedition, doesn't it? Bigger logs are the catch of the day. The breeze is refreshing as I make my way from the river uphill. Time to light up my oven tandoor hybrid, throwing in firewood and placing some dead wood on top for those impressive flames. Nothing beats the taste of fresh, homegrown vegetables. That carrot, nowhere else to be found. Cold, fresh, clean water. The best for washing these natural goodies. Slicing and dicing carrots, onions, and the gang. Basin on the fire, oil's in, and now I can toss in the onions for a good fry. Carrots come fashionably late. They need less time. Lucky me. I've got corn in my yard. The dog's already done with his ostrich leg, and the kitten's still in a tug of war with its share. Corn seeds are easier to cut than peel, so into the hot oil basin with onions they go. Carrots join the onion and corn party. Buckwheat, a staple in our land. Quick wash to get rid of the dust. Salt, veggies, buckwheat, everything in the mix. A bit of water to bring it all together. Using a rope, I pull the ostrich from the marinade to let it shed some excess liquid. Time for another marinade. Oil, paprika, curcuma, black pepper, and of course lemon juice is a must. Now, the bird gets a spa massage. Gloves on. I make cuts in the flesh, generously applying the spice mixture. It's all about rubbing it in, inch by inch. Garlic, because who can resist its flavour with meat or poultry? Garlic, again, who can resist its flavour with meat or poultry? An important cooking move, creating a multi-layer wrap to keep the dish cozy in the oven. aluminium foil, cooking paper, and another layer of foil. I bring it down to the table to secure legs and wings with a rope and wrap it all up. Rosemary thyme. Sprinkle it around for that extra flavor. Quick check on the woods and ashes in the stove. Looks ready to welcome the bird and veggie mix. Basin with grains and veggies goes in first, straight into the ashes. The ostrich follows suit, ready to be cooked from all sides, with a basin covering the top. Everything's in place, securely fixed. The ostrich is in for the long haul. Now, to secure the cover with clay, keeping that heat locked in. Tea time? Anyone? My trusty samovar is ready. While the kettle does its thing, I'll kick back, relax, and enjoy the mountain view. Tea's ready, poured, with a squeeze of lemon and a lump of sugar straight into my mouth. Tastes different, you know. Tea break over. Time to unveil the food. And look, my young friends are already here. Spring water may be tasty, but it won't satisfy a young appetite. Clay comes off easily. I set the heavy lid aside for later use. Ostrich looks like it's in a spacesuit, hot and heavy.
Koz yavaş yavaş ha. Zıv kadar zıv. Ha sarafına.
Basin comes next. The buckwheat smells divine. Let's uncover our birdie. Buckwheat served on a big plate, and now time to carve the main dish. Look at that tenderness. Meat just falling off the bones. Juicy, soft, hot, and perfectly fragrant. I cut it into small pieces for that hands-on eating experience. Poultry is meant to be eaten that way. Forks are for the buckwheat. Fast reactions. Hands instantly reaching for the food. Bon appetit. Why not give it a try myself? Perfection. Super.
Super. Kanalımıza dəstək olmaq istəyirsinizsə, onlayn mağazamızdan xüsusi bıçaq və ya taxta qablarımızı əldə edə bilərsiniz. Mağazanın linki videonun altındakı təsvirdə var. Super.
Winter is fading away, and although some places still have a bit of snow, you can sense the arrival of spring in the air. On a lovely day like this, I'm planning to whip up a special treat. We're talking local dish using them. You might not have tried delicious. I did my homework and gathered all the ingredients, including fresh veggies and greens. Now, to make a great meal, you do need to be in the perfect mood, and nothing puts me in a better mood than seeing my favourite he-goat. Now, before sipping my morning coffee, I've already got the fire going. Let's check on it. Looks good. Now I can start boiling the water with the brains inside. I'm using an old copper kettle. Really antique, in fact. It used to resemble Aladdin's lamp, but not anymore, I'm afraid. Around 5 to 10 minutes after boiling begins, you'll notice some foam forming on the meat. It's edible but not very appealing, so I skim it off with a large spoon. We call it a skimmer. Apart from the usual meat components, today I'm adding walnuts to the mix. They're for the salad. Not just walnuts though. I'm throwing in some salt, cinnamon and vanilla into the broth. Into the simmering water, I then toss peeled onions, a bay leaf and some lemons. Squeezing the lemon adds a more intense flavour. Coffee time. 1 cup in the morning wasn't enough, so I'm having a second. Fortunately, I have the time. I prefer making good coffee in a copper pot, using spring water with no peculiar odours. Some add coffee to already boiling water, but I like to start with cold water. It gives a richer taste. It's ready. You need to remove it from the heater as soon as it starts to boil. Mickey, my goat, is nearby, eagerly anticipating his treat. Of course, he won't be getting any veggies or greens, as I'll need those, but some nuts will keep him happy.
Küçüldü Mickey. Yavaş ye. Hadi yavaş ye. Allah.
I take a little stroll, keeping an eye on Mickey to make sure he doesn't snatch my coffee.
Gosh.
Time to retrieve the brains. They're quite fatty, so some fat will be in the broth. Last year's garlic, a whole head of it is what I need. Plus, I've got a big pan with hot oil ready to go. After letting the brains cool down a bit, I cut them in half. The oil is piping hot. I toss in some garlic and pepper, but I'll remove them before they burn, allowing the oil to just take on their flavours. Now pay attention to the amount of oil in the pan. I need enough to deep fry the brain pieces. They should be flipped to cook on all sides. Ready! The brains come out browned and well done. I set the garlic and pepper aside and garnish with greens and lemons on top. Now for the beetroot from my garden, along with some pepper and garlic. I grate the beetroot in a bowl, then add the finely grated garlic along with chopped greens and walnuts, and, of course, a pinch of salt. With the main ingredients ready, it's time to add the mayonnaise to the mix, a generous portion, and I'll give it a good mix. Time to bake some bread. The best bread is homemade, and the dough comes together quickly. I make some holes in it. They allow the loaf to heat up from the inside. Then I place the loaf on a hot, oiled metal surface using a special bread shovel. I flip the loaf and let it sit on the heated stove a bit longer. It's ready. Another one goes on. Mickey the goat knows the scent of fresh bread and rushes over for his share. His herd of sheep follows suit. Everyone gets their portion, but the big loaf is all mine. No goats are getting that. Time to make one more loaf. Now it's time for the puppies to join in as I share the meat. They deserve a treat too. I slice some brains, add my beetroot salad, and tuck it all into the bread, kind of like a pita. Let's give it a try. Oh, super delicious.
Super.
Hey there, fellow foodie friends. Ready to join me on another culinary escapade? Today, we're diving into the flavors of Azerbaijan as we prepare some mouth-watering beef ribs. Here we are, soaking up the beauty of Azerbaijan. Fresh air, stunning views, and the promise of a delicious meal. It doesn't get any better than this.
Şimdiki amanat malus, ha?
As we work in the garden, memories of my childhood flood back. Riding horses, helping with the chores. Those were the days. And speaking of chores, remember to wash those veggies before we toss them into our meal. A good knife is a chef's best friend. Just look at how smoothly it cuts through the meat. Pure kitchen magic. Cooking against the backdrop of Azerbaijan's breathtaking landscapes? It doesn't get more inspiring than this. Building our cooking setup is like creating a work of art. It's all about appreciating the craftsmanship and attention to detail. Waste not, want not, that's my motto. Whether it's with meat or any ingredient, I make sure to use every bit of it in my cooking. Even the bees are getting in on the action. They're busy pollinating while we prepare our feast. Now it's time to add some extra oomph to our dish. Onions go in first, followed by a sprinkle of ground black pepper and salt. Grinding black pepper, mixing spices. It's all about that extra punch of flavour to our dish. Mix it all up. And voila, flavor explosion. Carefully layering and marinating our meat ensures that every bite is bursting with flavor. It's all about the details. Okay, time to fire up the grill and get that campfire roaring. There's something primal and satisfying about cooking over an open flame. Our meat starts to roast as the vertical spit rotates. It's like a delicious dance of flavors happening right before our eyes. Nothing beats the crunch of fresh veggies from your own garden in shawarma. It's all about that perfect balance of flavors and textures. You definitely need to try one. What better time to bond with the kiddos than over a meal prep? It's moments like these that create lasting memories. As we take a break to enjoy some coffee, childhood memories are like a warm blanket, aren't they? And speaking of kids, it's always fun to involve them in the cooking process. You never know what stories they'll share. Listening to the kids chat while we cook is pure joy. It's a reminder to cherish these simple moments with loved ones.
İndi nə qaraq? Ha? Ya bəli, yemək üçün nə almaq lazım? Hər işimiz
With all our ingredients prepped and ready, it's time to assemble our shawarma. Roll it up, share it with the little ones, and watch their faces light up with delight.
Yığaq bura hamımıza birdən paylayacağım. Bara lezzet yapıyorsun. Öskürürsene. Ha, keçişsen ne olur size?
Ne yapayım?
Edemedim. Hoppa. Al bu senin.
Sakın daymam.
Sen otur bir yerde.
Benimki budur.
Nasıl bu?
Evet.
Al bu senin.
Sağ ol.
Bismillah ne? Bismillah diyor musun? Bismillah demek lazımdır. Böyle. Allah. Ay sağ ol seni. Yemin bir. Ay no şu içiyoruz. Bak.
İbrahim düştü yazlığa.
Super.
There's nothing quite like enjoying good food with great company. Looks like the kiddos are loving it. There's nothing quite like seeing those smiles of satisfaction after a good meal. And there you have it. A culinary escapade filled with flavors, memories, and plenty of laughter. Until next time, happy cooking, everyone. Super. Hello everyone, lovely to see you all again. For the cooking, you are to use whatever you have. Today, I've acquired 2 excellent turkeys, which I'll take care of. The morning appears dull, windy, and promising rain. It's good. I won't sweat while doing my job. Look at these pieces of poultry art. What could be better? 2 huge turkeys, well bred and fattened. To avoid waiting later, I decided to start a fire in a stove. The stove has to be hot when the time comes. These are my knives as well, masterpieces, but crafted by a blacksmith. My morning exercise? To sharpen them. Okay, let's check how good they are. Turkey is different from other poultry, usually. It's so big that you need to dismember it to get the proper pieces. Bones and joints are tough enough. I cut easily, as my instruments are made for this. Now I split the turkey in halves, after taking legs and wings. The halves are to be flattened for further cutting, so my knife will not slide off, and it's very important from a security point of view. Piece by piece is getting ready, and the flesh looks great. Quite a portion. Looks like a big one. The full set of vegetables is waiting on the table. Onions, carrots, bell pepper, green chilli and quince from the fruit side. Onions go first. I cut them in semicircles. A lot to fill the basin. Quince and bell pepper follow, green and red. Chili ends the process. The vegetable basin is full. Spice time. Salt and black pepper go into the salad and are mixed. My sheep are having their breakfast. A kind of salad as well. I start to fill my cooking basin with components. First goes the turkey flesh, no oil. Turkey and vegetables actually have enough water to be stewed in their own juice. I put everything in layers: poultry, vegetables, poultry, vegetables. A vegan variant. What a surprise! I put a basin on the fire and go to fill some water to add it to the dish. Now this is the second carcass. I will do it in a different way. Another portion of spices. Now paprika is added for being spread around and massaged in and out. As the carcass is a big one, we need a lot of spices everywhere, in all meaty parts. I will make deep cuts. It will get the spices inside the product, and aside from this, the cuts will allow the heat to make the meal better, passing through the incisions. Now it's time to get the carcass wrapped. First goes a cooking paper, and it's followed by foil. 2 layers to withstand the heat. The package goes deep inside the stove and then the lid is closed. Let it rest there. The damper goes inside, closed, not to let heat out. Time to check and stir the first variant of turkey. Some chickpeas to be added. I need some woods to make my tea. So I go and cut dry and unnecessary or ill branches. Looks like everything is good. Oh, smells tasty. Tea leaves are to be perfused with boiling water, and the pot goes upside of the samovar to get brewed. My seat and my table. Perfectly natural.
Yeki. Bak, tabii ki.
This is my friend, He-Goat. He likes sweeties. Let him have a pair of lumps. And not forget to close and move away a sugar bowl.
Çay kavuşmu. O güzel.
The first scouts have arrived to find out what they're going to be waiting for. So, the first portion of the dish is ready. Looks and smells nice. It will be served with a special type of rice dish, pilaf. The base is made of pilaf. The upper part is a cover of turkey and vegetables. Oh, you can see the steam going up. I guess it's time to get variant number 2 from the stove and unfold it. I unwrap the dish layer by layer. My small friend's team is here to help me with food. They look really hungry. The dish was waiting in the stove, not to be cold when its time comes. Time to take piece by piece and put them on the plate. Very tender meat. Perfect. It's practically falling off from the bones. Very juicy and crispy. Exactly what I was expecting. Now, it's my time to try. Super.
Super.
Spring has arrived and we're gearing up for a fantastic Azeri celebration, the spring equinox, a day when night and day share equal time. It marks the true beginning of spring and is known as Nowruz, which means new day in Persian. This joyous occasion is celebrated in many countries across the East, and we're joining in the festivities. I've decided to get some practice in by preparing some delicious shish kebab. To get warmed up, what's better than cutting a few sticks? In the early days, I used an axe and a handsaw for this task. Nowadays, you can opt for an electric saw or, like me, a petrol-powered one. The best shish kebab is made with fruit wood, so I've been cutting branches from my garden. Thinner ones for longer sticks and thicker ones for shorter ones. Making my own charcoal is the next step. It involves creating a special stove, and that requires a unique frame constructed from sticks. To begin, I sharpen the long, thin branches at the ends, which will form the base of our structure. Those circles you see on the ground aren't landing sites for UFOs, but rather the start of our imaginary stove. I hammer the poles into a circle at the very center. They'll hold the bundle of wood, forming a sort of a pyramid. We start with the bigger ones on the sides and then add smaller ones at the top, laying them one by one to cover the base from all sides. I reinforce the construction with a wooden frame made from the lightest and thinnest sticks, almost like a blanket or a shield. To make charcoal, I use clay and straw to create a mixture that will hold the logs together as they burn slowly. This mixture also prevents excessive oxygen from getting to the fire, which is essential for charcoal production. I coat our wooden base or blanket with it in a thick layer. Interestingly, some regions construct buildings using a similar technique, making them warm in winter and cool in summer, thanks to the straw's insulating properties. Plus, it's budget-friendly since you don't need additional building materials. The holes at the bottom are for airflow to kick-start the process, and on top, I leave an exhaust pipe and an ignition point for the fire, which will descend to ignite the wood. Straw and small sticks work great for this purpose. I light them up. After the fire moves downwards, the large logs catch fire and start to burn. So I then seal the holes with clay to restrict excess air intake. Then I let the fire burn inside, allowing the logs to burn out overnight. The next day, I'm all set to enjoy preparing our incredible dish, lamb thighs. First things first, we eliminate any parts of the meat that aren't suitable for human consumption, but are treats for animals. Our helpful assistant joins in, giving the meat a taste test. Looks like he's enjoying it, and that bodes well for our meal. They say there were once lions, but not anymore. We continue by removing excess fat, setting it aside since it's part of our recipe. I start cutting the meat into smaller pieces. Before I begin, I sharpen my knife with a musat. Slicing the meat is done on a wooden surface to avoid damaging the blade. Our second assistant quickly joins the cooking fun. I'm hopeful that the delicious meat will brighten up this gloomy weather. So, I cut the pieces of fat into smaller cubes, following my father's tradition. Next up is red onion, which I slice in halves. To make our shish kebab even more tender, generously drizzle it with the juice from the chopped onions. In fact, for shish kebab, we don't need much more marinade. The onion is sufficient. Then I sprinkle fragrant thyme over the meat, which I grow and collect from my garden. This thyme can be kept dry for an extended period, as it's from last year. Next, I add black pepper and mix it together with the meat, gently pressing the pieces to allow the spices to envelop each one and infuse it with flavor. It's time to incorporate some fresh vegetables. First, they need a good bath, so I send them for a jacuzzi. After a thorough wash, they're ready to become part of our dish. I begin with the potatoes, slicing them into thin circles, putting them on skewers. This helps create holes without ruining them when we later cut them into smaller pieces. it's time to add some spices. I use rock salt, black pepper, and paprika to give the potatoes an incredible flavour. I cut the tail fat into small pieces and press them firmly with a knife. I alternately thread the potatoes and small pieces of tail fat on skewers to make the dish juicier. I make incisions on the eggplant and insert the leftover fat pieces. The eggplants, one by one, are threaded onto skewers. I follow the same process with bell peppers, tomatoes and meat. I repeat the skewering until all the meat is in place. Then I return to the onions, cutting them into circles. I add finely chopped coriander to the onions. Cucumbers, tomatoes, bell peppers, green onions and radishes are cut into large pieces and placed on our plates. These are perfect accompaniments for shish kebab. Salads are saved for other occasions. Let's check on our stove. It looks like the process is complete. The clay is fully dry. Armed with an axe, I cut through to the middle. There it is, our charcoal. I collect all the charcoal in a basket. Now it's time to rekindle the charcoal. I've prepared a special fireplace, just the right size for our skewers. The hot coals are glowing and waiting for the meat. I place our lamb and vegetables on the grill. Just look at that. It's already looking and smelling fantastic. Even the cat is eager for a taste. But I'm next in line. It appears our dinner is ready. I can remove it from the fire. What an incredible taste. It was worth all the effort. Super.
Super.
Time to serve our dish. I place the meat on a large plate and vegetables on another. I add a mixture of onions and coriander on top of the meat for an enhanced flavor. And there you have it. Everyone, come to the table. Super. Hello, fellow foodies. Welcome to the picturesque landscape of Azerbaijan. Today, we're going to dive into the world of mouth-watering beef ribs. Get ready for a culinary journey filled with flavors and stories, straight from my kitchen to yours. First of all, let's start our flavored journey by chopping the garlic and adding salt. First we crush the garlic, sprinkle it with salt, add black pepper, rosemary, paprika and turmeric. We place all this in a wooden bowl with a little corn oil. We add paprika, turmeric, and a pinch of salt to take our marinade to new heights of flavor. Then we spread this delicious mixture on thin slices of beef ribs, making sure that each piece gets its own portion of flavor. While our meat is nestled in the marinade, let's prepare the stage for our culinary extravaganza. Let's gather branches for the tandoor, a special oven for roasting meat and baking traditional Azerbaijani bread. Be sure to try it when you visit our beautiful country. And don't forget to tend your vegetable garden. Fresh vegetables make all the difference. While we were picking branches, memories of childhood chores came flooding back. Helping my parents in the garden taught me the value of fresh veggies and the joy of hard work. Chopping onions can bring tears to my eyes. But working in the garden fills my heart with nostalgia and pride. So I'm ready for anything. Memories of my childhood, when I learned from my parents. Always wash vegetables before using them. And watch out for onions, they can make your eyes water. So, let's get cooking.